Hello, welcome to Raising Arrows Homestead. Today we're going to talk about how I treat fever naturally. First, we need to get the disclaimer out of the way because people are people. I do not proclaim to be anybody other than me. I am not a doctor, I am not certified. This is just me sharing what I use and what I do in our home. Take it as you will. Use it if you want. If you hear me talk about something and you're like, there's no way that's gonna work, don't use it. Don't use it. Just sharing here. Now that that's out of the way, one of the big misconceptions is that fever is dangerous. It can be, but fever is honestly your body's natural response to fighting whatever foreign pathogen has come into your system. That is a natural immune response. That is your body doing what it's supposed to do. Don't freak out. It's okay. And children spike fevers for crazy random things. We got teething, we've got all kinds of weird things. They have fevers all the time and it goes away in a day. You didn't even know they were sick. You have no idea what was going on. That is their body learning to, their immune system learning to work. That's what that is. Their body is learning to move things around. Their body's learning to fight off the germs that they come in contact with on a daily basis. Now, for teething, it's crazy. It sounds really crazy, I know. But one of the things that I have found and have been brought to my attention is when a little one is teething, the fever is to help move calcium in their body to their teeth. So if they don't have enough calcium in their system at the time and their body is trying to pull from elsewhere and move the calcium, a good thing to give a teething baby is a calcium supplement. This is what I prefer. It's a Dr. Christopher, and it's called Kitty Calc. It's hard to see because of that label on there. You can order it from Dr. Christopher's website, or you can order it from Amazon, whichever you prefer. It's 5 drops is a serving, which for younger kids, I don't give them the whole 5 drops. But it has shaved grass, wild crafted nettle, oat straw, and valerian. Why I can't pronounce it. I can always read these things in my head, but I cannot get them to come out my mouth the way they're supposed to sometimes. Anyway, this is what we use quite frequently to help with teething, and it really does help. And like I said, I don't freak out. For the littles, I would do a lavender to help them relax and help with pain. Chamomile is a good one for teething. Essential oils is what I'm referring to here. Essential oils. I use lavender, chamomile, clove. I personally like to do a blend of chamomile and clove and rub it on the gums, gum line. If you're not comfortable putting it in their mouth, you can rub it on the gum line, the jaw line, and around the gums outside. I use it as a teether. Personally, I know this is a hot topic, I prefer doTERRA essential oils. That's what we use in our home. I do buy some less expensive ones, Plant Therapy, Eden Garden. I do buy some of those as well. Mostly those are used for my cleaning products and stuff. But when I use medicinal, I just prefer doTERRA. You use what you like. You do what you're comfortable with. But the lavender really helps. You could even put them in a little bath with some lavender, just to help them calm and relax. And lavender's been known to help with pain as well. And if you've ever bought that, what is it called? Pumpkin butt teething oil, the ingredients are very similar to the one I make at home. And I usually cut mine with olive oil or coconut oil or whatever you prefer. And that's, I like I said, I rub it straight on their gums. Now that's for teething. And honestly, once you get the calcium, their fever from teething usually goes away really quickly. So now, let's talk if they've got a cold, or if you don't even know why they have a fever. Sometimes that happens too. But if you've got a cold, a lot of times once you get their bowels moving, the fever will go away. And again, that sounds really odd, but I found that it really is true. So lots of fluids. Magnesium is a good one. I make my own magnesium spray, and I like to mix lavender with that as well, and I put it on the bottoms of their feet or even their back, down their spine and stuff for fevers and things. But if we need help, again, Dr. Christopher, Kitty Reg. This gets them cleaned out and flushed out. Usually within 24 hours, they get a good bowel movement, get cleaned out. And that seems to help really well too. Another thing you could do again is the lavender and do some Epsom's or magnesium in a bath. Let them just get in there and play. I also like to add, when they have a cold, I'll add a couple of drops of Melaleuca, tea tree oil. doTERRA has now changed it to tea tree oil as well. But for the longest time it was Melaleuca, and it's hard for me to get my brain wrapped around the fact that it's tea tree oil now. I don't know, it's just stuck as Melaleuca. Again, it would depend on how comfortable you are using those oils on your child. I do a blend of Melaleuca, lavender, and a lot of times lemon, because lemon helps with the immune system and all that stuff too. If they just have a fever that will not quit, which very rarely happens in our house, but it will not quit, a very diluted form of peppermint on the feet and down the spine will help break a fever as well, as long as it's a cool cloth. Now, I'm not saying don't ever take your kid to the doctor, and I'm not saying there's not a time and a place to take your kid to the emergency room, because there are times that it's required. I mean, you need to. That's what the medical system is there for, in my opinion, not for everyday colds and teething and just simple things that people can treat at home. The medical system, in my opinion, is for true emergencies and when we just can't figure it out at home. Again, you do what you're comfortable with. I'm just sharing the things that I do in my household with my family. Another thing that I would do is teas. We do lots of herbal teas. If the fever is, if they've got a cold, I would do mullein and marshmallow root tea, and I give that to my children, even little ones. Like, as long as they can suck out of a dropper, I would be comfortable giving them that in a dropper as a medicine, not as a tea. The older ones, I'll give them a glass of warm tea and I let them suck that down. The little ones, they just get half a teaspoon in a dropper at a time, 2 or 3 times a day, depending on how severe the cough is. You can also add chamomile to that, because chamomile has been shown to help reduce fevers and colds. So maybe a chamomile, marshmallow, and mullein, because you want something that's going to taste good. The older kids, you could do a peppermint, marshmallow, and mullein to help with congestion and cough. But the younger ones, I tend to go with chamomile instead of the peppermint, or even just the plain mullein and marshmallow. But it's not delicious. And of course, the older ones I give honey, and the little ones, they don't recommend you give them honey under a year-old. So that is, again, your discretion. I don't give them honey when they're little. I just give them the plain tea, and usually a milder version. I don't steep it as long for them, but it does definitely help. And speaking of littles, if you have little itty bitty ones, if you don't breastfeed, which I've breastfed all my children, and when they're sick, they want to nurse. They cluster feed, they nurse, they want to snuggle, and that's really, really good, because I won't go into all the details because that's not what we're here for, but there have been so many studies showing that breast milk actually changes when your babies are sick and produces antibodies, and your baby gets the antibodies in the breast milk. So that's a big bonus. So when those babies are sick, nurse those babies. If you do not breastfeed, another thing you can do is skin to skin. take your, down to a tank top, down to your bra, take the baby, undress the baby, hold them close, wrap them up. Your body heat will help regulate there. Even if they have a fever, your body heat will help. It just works. I don't know all the science behind it. It just works. I've always, it just really helps. And it makes them feel better. Even if they feel yucky and crappy, they want mom or dad anyway. So it's just a wonderful way to help them feel better and to regulate their body temperatures. Another thing, we really like the traditional medicines. This is the other one I have on hand. They have a echinacea and they have immunity. They have several kinds. This just happens to be the one that I have on hand right now because I've gotten away from store-bought teas as much, especially the herbal ones, and I've started making my own. But we do teas, lots of teas. And then for adults, again, tea, peppermint oil on the feet, on the spine, soak in a bath. Magnesium helps get your bowels going as well. So get that system flushed, lots of fluids. Happy fever treating. Got my chai here. I'm gonna spill it. Luckily my kids went outside and they're playing, but I hear some movement around in there, so I think someone's coming in. And I think that about covers most of it. Some of the other things we do for fever and cold though include oregano oil. We do garlic oil in the ears, because a lot of times fever can be related to ears, especially with the little ones. All my puppies are coming in. They all decided they needed a drink at once. But so we do garlic in the ears, the garlic mullein ear oil. We do that a lot. And I know they've started saying out with the blankets, don't heat them up for a fever, don't warm them up, get their temperature down. And I don't necessarily agree with that because it works well to wrap them up and heat them up. And that's what's more comfortable anyway. Unless, there's a really high fever, then yes, by all means, cool cloth, get them cooled down, get them in some cool water, get them in a cool bath. And then if you just can't get it, usually I don't worry about a fever for 24 to 48 hours. I really just let it work, let the body do its thing. Unless it was really to spike high, I just don't get excited about it. I used to, until I learned more about it. And now, I just don't get that excited. I do encourage you all to do more research and to look into these things and trust your instincts more and learn to feel more comfortable and confident doing things at home. The medical system is just overrun. That people can't even get in to be seen half the time. Appointments are months and months out. It's crazy. I just feel like people need to learn to do more of the basic care at home. I think that's it for today. I hope everyone stays well. And if you like this video, we can absolutely do more of this kind of video. It's a little different than what I have been doing. But it's the kind of thing I do in my home, and people have been wanting me to share these things. So I decided to start sharing. Have a great week.